And the next question is asking for technical analysis on Iota. So I also saw a lot of questions a lot of people looking for entry points into Luna as well. So I'll go back to sharing my screen here. We'll do some quick TA on Iota. So here's Iota. It's just been range bound. It's just been stuck range bound. In the midst of this range, it has changed its fundamentals. If we go over here to chrysalis.iota.org/status, we can see 73.42% of Iota has been staked. That means there's at least 73.42% of Iota's supply off of exchanges. It's no longer on exchanges. That is a supply crunch. What that means is there's a very strong chance that there could be something called a supply squeeze. In other words, this price, Iota's price action, could become very volatile. Now, a lack of liquidity on exchanges, if there's demand, is going to lead to the price going up. However, if the market crashes, it could lead to a pretty nasty drop, in which case that could actually be an opportunity to get Iota at a very cheap price if we see the market crash and if we see everybody trying to dump onto exchanges when there's really not a ton of liquidity there to begin with. All right. Iota, you've been rewarded for buying on this long-term trend line. This is this bull market trend line. This has historically been the best place to buy Iota. If this market recovers and Iota continues to perform or starts performing well, and we start to see TVL flow into the Iota network, and we start to see devs start to build on Assembly, start to build on Shimmer, start to build on Iota, then Iota could perform extremely well. There's a really low supply on exchanges, and we could see something move very violently. This is personally my thesis for being invested in Iota. I believe that Iota is a high risk, high reward play, meaning that there's a chance that its architecture isn't ready or that its architecture is going to have some sort of security vulnerability. There's been concerns about that in the past. But I come from the mindset that crypto is such a fast growing and volatile market that if you can afford to take some of these high risk opportunities that can pay off significantly, right, with 10x, 15, 20x's, you only need to successfully capture those a few times to really be paid off. So personally, I think that Iota is at a very reasonable entry point right now, down here towards this trend line. Again, there's always risk. Just because I'm saying this is a solid entry point between $1.05 and $1.20 doesn't mean that we can't fall below this trend line if the rest of the market crashes. So you need to understand there is risk involved here, right? You could consider buying at $1.19 to $1.20, or even waiting for a little bit lower of an entry point, maybe at $1.10. And then just keeping a stop loss down here at around 95 cents or $1, just on the off chance that we do spill lower, right? But if we were to move to the top of this channel, and again, I'm not saying this is where Iota is going to go. I do think it's very possible for Iota to go to the top of this channel. It's been at the top of this channel in this previous, at multiple times this bull market cycle. If it were to go to the top of this channel, it'd be at about $7, and that would be roughly a 6x from where it's currently at. So I do think that's possible if Iota accomplishes their vision and people really, really start to adopt it and build on it. That's still to be determined. That's still to be determined. I'm not saying it's going to $7. I think there's a plausible chance, though, that we could see a 2, 3, 4, 5x, 6x out of Iota. And I think the risk to reward ratio with the entry point being so close to this entry point is still very solid. Now, Luna. Entry points for Luna are going to be, and I don't have this second line drawn, but we've hit our first target, our first retracement target, and that's our 3x short level from our high, right? If we take our high and we take a 33, or actually not even quite a 33% correction, a 33% correction is going to be our next target of about $69 to $70. $69 to $70, I personally have an order in on Luna at about, I'm being a little bit more aggressive with it, at $71, right? But the full retracement of our 3x short level would bring us down to about 70 or $69.50, right? There are some long margin pressure levels here at $75 to $78. And that's where we're starting to already see this support come in. We're starting to see people say, hey, Luna's at the point where I can safely go long on leverage, right? And hide my liquidation points down here. Right. And that's why we're starting to see some consolidation, some support in this range. We still haven't seen the overall market turn around. So we don't know if Luna's going to bounce here or continue down to 71 to $69, but that would be our second buy zone, right? And one thing that I like to do is I like to construct two buy zones, right? Let's just move this down very briefly to about $70. And you can buy here, and then if it drops, you can buy on the next support. And what will often happen is it'll bounce back to your original buy. Then you can close this trade in profit, meaning you're break even on your first entry, right? You're break even on your first entry, but you're profitable on your second entry, right? So that's a trade that I personally like to do. If it falls down to this next level, get the buy the bounce, and then you can sell the bounce and break even on your first entry, profit on your second entry. Even for longer term stuff or longer term entry points right now, pretty close, or we're pretty much on a trend line, right? So I think this is a fairly decent entry point. Again, market's shaky right now. It's
Yeah.
volatile.
Yeah, one is that Luna has L1, and then it also absorbs the volatility of his stablecoin, which is US Terra. So it's going to be one of the most volatile and high beta bets. So for us over here as the technical expert, but I feel like there is a possibility to get a very low entry point, maybe perhaps $50, $60, if the bear market continues, or we have more jitters when the bear market, more jitters because of the bear market. I think it can even go down to $40 if there are regulations regarding stablecoin, because US Terra will become volatile and Luna will absorb the pressure of US Terra. So I think those will be the points to basically buy Luna for the long term. And also, my other advice will be to DCA, not just like buy in one go, but rather accumulate in different price points, because nobody has a crystal ball in terms of at what point US Terra will settle down. And because of this volatility, you'll have different price points which will become attractive for the long run.